It's a beautiful day. Well, not really. It's grey and rainy and shit. Anyways, Tom from TK Total Fitness in Cambridge, helping people get back in shape, back into control. I would like to talk to you today about clean versus calories. So, what do I mean by clean versus calories? I'm going to define it first of all, or my definition, and talk about what I consider to be the most important, and what people should be doing, etc., etc., etc. So, clean versus calories. So, clean eating, clean being gluten-free, minimally processed. Lean proteins, healthy sources of protein, unrefined, etc., etc. Clean eating, healthy eating, versus calories. So calories being energy, essentially at the end of the day, and really just as simple as that. Energy intake more so than anything else. Workouts are what they are. So we're going to talk about energy intake here. So clean versus calories. Sometimes people will say things along the lines of, the calorie thing doesn't work for me, or the clean eating thing doesn't work for me, or I've tried the calorie thing before, or I've tried the clean eating thing before, that kind of thing, right? And it's not really one or the other. Here's my take on this. I've been doing this for quite a few years now. 6 years, coming up to 6 years. And when I started as a trainer, I was constructing all these food plans and stuff, and this is going to be perfect, this is going to be the best ever, all the food's going to be spot on, yada yada yada. The thing is, when you give that to someone, they don't stick to it, right? People don't stick to it. So over time, I've kind of developed a kind of path of least resistance approach. It's a very fine line between getting someone to do what is perfect, what's good, what's going to get them results, and getting someone to do something that they're going to stick to consistently, right? And me, myself as well, I've experienced this. When I was, kind of first started PTing, and I wanted everything to be perfect, and I wanted to kind of expand my knowledge as much as I can and utilise as much of that knowledge as possible. Then I was I was drinking pea protein, rice protein, all this, that and the other. And honestly, it tastes like shit. And I don't think I could now do that after years of doing, I've been training for 10 years, right? I've been training and stuff for 10 years, doing it professionally for 6 years. And after all that time, and it being a full-on lifestyle and of doing it for literally the last 10 years, there's been peaks and troughs, right? There's been times where it's been more intense, there's been times where it's less intense, but I could not right now have disgusting tasting protein shakes. So there's certain things I do take that don't taste ideal, but pea protein, rice protein, really gritty, really sandy, it just, it's not ideal. So I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but anyways, let's get back to the topic. So there's a very fine line between doing what is right and doing what people are going to stick to, or advising what people are going to stick to. So in my eyes, clean versus calories, right? It's got to be a bit of both. There's got to be a calorie deficit. And I've talked about calorie deficits loads of times. There's numerous ways of achieving calorie deficits. There's got to be some form of calorie deficit, whether it be fasting, whether it be using MyFitnessPal, whatever it is, there's got to be some form of calorie deficit. So in order to lose weight in its simplest form, get in shape, you need to be eating less calories than you're burning, right? So that needs to be locked in regardless of anything else. And then when it comes to the clean eating side of things, this, particularly from a start point, and this kind of goes back to where you're starting from as well. If you're already in the calorie deficit consistently and you eat enough protein and this, that and the other, then, you're going to have to do additional things. But for most people watching this video, from almost, maybe not a start point, but from a point of perhaps not ideal consistency and, doing what needs to be done, you need to be in a calorie deficit, right? Number one, you need to be in a calorie deficit. Number two, you want to be getting enough protein, right? So you want to be and again, this is kind of goes to numbers and it gets a bit exact, but around 40% of your macronutrients, your daily macronutrients, want to come from my protein, or protein at every meal. Protein at every meal, 40%, however you work it, regardless of whether you deal too much with numbers or not, you want to be getting a good source of protein at every meal, right? So I'm sure you know what, protein sources are. If not, ask a question, whatever, Google it, YouTube it, do the research. But protein every meal, and the majority of your calories, the majority of your food wants to come from clean sources, right? So that's not, you know, like I've just said, refined carbs. It's not, you know, chocolate and stuff like that, right? You know, the majority of your calories, I'd say at least 80%, want to be coming from good sources. So, like I said, good quality source of protein, you know, fruits, vegetables, clean carbohydrates. So again, we clean them in gluten-free, you know, sweet potato, rice, that kind of thing. That's really what we're going to be hitting, okay? So it's not either or, and there's no hard and fast rules as to what needs to be done, right? Obviously, the calorie thing kind of needs to be in place, but aside from that, in regard to what you actually eat, like, as long as the majority of what you're doing is coming from, like, you know, where it should be, then the minority of what you're doing, the alcohol, the chocolate, whatever else, the chips, the pizzas can be in place, right? And there's no do this, don't do that. It's just, if you do enough of this, you're going to be moving towards where you want to be. If you do too much of that, you're going to be moving away from where you want to be, right? So get them dialed in. Calorie deficit in some way, shape or form. Clean eating, clean for the majority of the time, okay? It doesn't need to be all the time. But like clean eating versus calories, it's not a case of one or the other. Calories needs to be dialed in. Clean eating, you know, should be the majority of your food. So the majority of your food should be clean. You know, your calories need to be in a deficit consistently in order to actively lose weight, and you want to be getting around 40% of protein, okay? So that's clean versus calories. That's all I wanted to say on this one today. I hope you have a good day, and I'll catch up with you soon, all right? Tom out.